Good evening. I'm Victoria weather meteorologist Ryan Henning with a look at what's been going on in Southern California. It's been kind of an interesting past few days, and particularly over the weekend for residents of Los Angeles and San Diego. Some of the hyperbolic events, for example, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim had their first rainout in over 20 years because of shower activity in the area. But then a more catastrophic note is I-10 east of San Diego was actually washed out in some locations due to flash flooding because of the rain that they've experienced in that part of the world. So I just wanted to talk briefly about what's been going on in that part of the world. I've got the National Weather Service rainbow plot for the western U.S. and eastern Pacific here to my left right now. And I just wanted to kind of give you a look at what's going on right now. And you can see over Southern California that they're pretty quiet at the moment. The cooler colors are drier, it's warmer readings in the satellite. So, for example, this stretch is actually the desert where it's extremely hot. And that's reading off the ground. And then the colder readings are actually the warmer colors. And that's because higher cloud tops are colder because they're sending up to the atmosphere. And as you know, the higher the top, the more likely that you're seeing a thunderstorm. So this is kind of a typical, certainly more typical than what we've been seeing. It's called the monsoon. It's a typical monsoonal flow where you're seeing convection developing over northern Mexico, building into Arizona, New Mexico. What's a little atypical is how active it is up over the Sierras. If you're going to see thunderstorms in California, that's usually where you're going to see them. But it's usually not as robust as it is right now, and it has been this season. The reason that you usually see it over the Sierras is that you really need some sort of topographic orographic lift to produce thunderstorms over the Rockies in California. And the moisture at the lower levels, especially since it's coming out of the Gulf typically, it just can't work its way into the Central Valley or especially in the deserts of Southern California. And usually with the monsoonal flow, like I said, you typically or often see it in Mexico, but you also see it building north through the Colorado Rockies, Utah, northern Nevada, generally east of the Sierras. Usually you don't see it in the Sierras. Usually you see it kind of in this corridor with the widespread active thunderstorms. But not this year. As you can see, it's firing up over the Sierras, and we've seen some showers and storms, like I said at the top of this video, over Southern California. In particular, Los Angeles and San Diego have seen some unusually high rain totals. So what's been going on? It's a phenomenon you have heard quite a bit about ever since climatologists and meteorologists figured out what it was, and that's El Nino. So what it does is there's a weaker easterly trade off of South America, so warmer water pools off the west coast of South America by Ecuador and Peru, and it starts, in some cases it can start to build north, so it's actually a little bit warmer than usual, like up the Mexican coastline, and slightly warmer off the Pacific coast. Usually it's very chilly ocean waters off the California coast, and it's a little bit warmer. And if you know anything about hurricanes or anything like that, you know they feed on warmer waters. And one of the consequences of El Nino is an active Pacific hurricane season. And outside of just the hurricanes, you're also seeing more organized systems. So we had a area low pressure that developed near the Channel Islands and moved inland, and that's what brought all the rain to Southern California, and it's kind of shifted now inland, and it's actually helping to enhance all of this activity. But that's what's been happening in the Sierras and Southern California. It's a redirected flow of moisture owing to the warmer temperatures off the western coast of the Americas. Of course, I say all that, but bear with me as I try to find my mouse, and there we go. This is a look at the total rainfall over the last 7 days. So it includes that weekend where we had our flooding rains, washed out roadways, rain delays in Los Angeles, and we could see there's a few bullseyes, particularly over the San Bernardino Mountains and higher terrain east of the LA Basin and up north along Big Sur, and then also inland from San Diego. San Diego is the site that saw the most rain of all the major cities. And you can see Los Angeles, which again is one of those cities that it seemed like they got a lot of rain. If we look at our scale, we can see that in fact they only got about half an inch in 7 days. So that's just a lesson in why, location, I guess. Even a little bit of rain will cause more significant problems in areas that are unaccustomed to such heavy rainfall. So that's part of what the problem is. Not only doesn't it rain a lot usually in Southern California, but with the ongoing drought, the ground is so hard it's not prepared to take and absorb heavy rainfall. So you're getting a lot of runoff, which is leading to the mudslides and washed out roads like we saw with I-10. And the sad thing is, this rain leading to flash flooding and causing problems, it's still not going to be significant enough to really affect the drought. You're going to need more persistent and lighter rain if you really want to do anything about it. I'll switch back to the satellite up here and just say that this is a beacon of hope, because that's usually where Central California and the agricultural interests of the state really gets their water from. Not always thunderstorms, usually not thunderstorms actually, but with the predominant flow shifting south in the winter, these mountains serve as a good instigator for heavy snowfall. And usually in the Sierras, in a more typical wetter pattern, can measure their snowfall in feet rather than inches. So then when that melts in the summer, you get runoff and you get a lush, well-nourished, well-watered, well-hydrated Central California. So we're not seeing it in thunderstorms like we typically would, in heavy snow, but we are seeing it in thunderstorms. So hopefully this keeps up over the California-Nevada border, and we can start to break that drought. I hope you have learned something and are, ready to tell all your friends about what's going on in Southern California, I guess. But for Victoria Weather, I am meteorologist Ryan Henning.